KNON 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to KNON.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.
And good afternoon and welcome to Lambda Weekly. I'm Dave Taffet. I'm here in the studio with the 10 minutes early Patti Fink, and actually it was 12. Wow. And don't worry, I called her. She was sitting across the table from me, but I had to get in my usual, hi, you're running a little bit late today. No, I'm here. Oh, and Lerone Landis.
Yes.
Who's always here normal time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Our guest today is Terry Loftis. Terry is a Broadway producer.
Among many things.
Among many
Big
things.
long list. And then
Now, Terry has been with us
Broadway
before.
producer.
He came
Long time ago.
Well, he came in, he said, oh, when did you get this new studio? 10 years ago. So, Terry, we promised to have you on. What are
and
you,
another 15 years.
What are you
Another
doing
15.
sometime during Pride Month 2025?
Oh, if I'm here, we'll discuss it then.
Okay. Tommy Toon doesn't think you're going to be here. In fact,
Right, exactly.
he only gave you one. Okay.
A year. Yeah.
Let me give you. Terry is one of the producers of the Tony-nominated show The Visit. First time out on Broadway. Actually, he had something to do with another Broadway show too, but first time as a producer and gets nominated for a Tony Award. How wonderful is that?
that's the way to do it, man.
That
Yeah.
is the way to do it.
So, from poor Dallas, struggling.
Little Oak Cliff boy goes to Broadway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay,
see, that could be, we can make a musical of that in the South. We could.
Okay, so Terry, you didn't do this out of the blue. It's not like you were, a software engineer who decided, hey, I'm going to be a Broadway producer. You had something of a musical and showbiz busy sort of career. Tell us a little bit about that. How?
Yeah, so my day job, as you well know, has been in advertising for many years.
Mm-hmm.
And then my passion has been singing. I was a graduate of the Booker T. Washington High School years ago, so we won't go into all that. But grew up around music and decided to, I guess it was about 17 years ago, to start singing again. So started singing in some of the local clubs, did a CD. So it was, while I enjoyed my day gig, getting back into music was a way to allow my soul to express itself. And knowing almost everybody in town and out of town for that matter, Rich Affinado, who's one of the producers of The Visit and a former Dallasite, a Texas boy, reached out to me. Initially, my first entrance into Broadway was with Holland Taylor and the show And, her one-woman show, The Life of Ann Richards, which played at the Vivian Beaumont at Lincoln Center. And then...
But we're a producer of that. You were
No, I was not a producer. I was just, we could use some help on getting some additional investors in. But by the time they got me involved, the production credits were already set. Sorry, that's... Natalie, stop texting me. And about 3-4 months ago, Rich reached back out to me and told me about The Visit and told me who the creative team was, who was cast in it, and I said, I want in. And there was producer credit. So...
Okay, so, I mean, this is an impressive show. The creative team
The creative team is, the book for the musical was written by Terrence McNally. The score was John Kander and Fred Ebb of Chicago.
Cabaret.
Cabaret. Kiss of the Spider Woman.
Yeah.
John Doyle is our director. So you and Cheetah and Roger Reeves in the leading roles. So you had this legendary Broadway team put together to do this show. So there was no way I was not going to be a part of it, win or not. It was just, you know, when do you have an opportunity to go to New York and not only be a participant of the production team, but, you know, sit and watch these people on stage do what they do.
You know, even if it ended up crashing and burning, which it did not, but even if it had, Candor and Ebb, Cheetah Rivera, what a way to start on Broadway.
Yeah.
You know, Cheetah Rivera, for people who don't know the history, she started on Broadway in the early 50s. Her first really big role was as Anita in West Side Story. And she has just done a number of things. West Side Story, 1959. And she's in the lead again. She's 82.
82.
If you saw
And
the Tony
interesting because
Awards,
Cheetah has never gone on to do the role that she initiated on Broadway on film.
Really?
And that, according to her, that's on purpose. She's never had an interest to do the film versions of the
So that was her.
roles that she launched on Broadway.
huh,
Interesting.
yeah. But she has done some film.
She has. But, for example, when they did Chicago, of course, that was, you know, she did not star in the film. She was not in the film version of West Side Story. But she loves, as she would describe it or tell you, she loves originating these roles on Broadway because she's the first to do them. So, you know,
Oh, sure.
it's
Anita
like,
is
okay,
known for her, even though very few people, compared to the number that have seen the movie,
Right.
very few people actually saw her do it.
Correct.
And those of us who did were 5 at the time and don't have a clear memory.
So you reside here in Dallas. So did you have to go back and forth to New York?
I did.
during the production of this?
Not as much as you would think. I did. I did not get up for previews for our show. But it's a whole, you know, basically what these guys will do, your executive producers of a show will start a company based on the show. So, you know, The Visit LLC. And you're basically creating a company for the production. And then they put the production team together, and those are the folks who are going to go out and actually solicit investor dollars to become a part of the show. With my background in marketing, when they came to me, it was one, to assist in bringing in investor dollars, but also to sit in on our weekly meetings between the production team and our ad agency and PR firm in New York that were hired to, you know, everything
To promote the show.
To promote the show.
Yeah.
So,
You know, and it's funny because in New York, what the marquee looks like is something that sparks you to walk by the theater. You know, I'll walk down 44th Street and take a look at the pictures, and that's what makes you decide sometimes whether to walk into the box office and actually buy tickets sometimes.
yeah, you know,
It's all those little things that...
You know, marketing is about selling. You know, at the end of the day, it's still selling sex. It's the sex appeal of a product, or in our case, a show. And there are agencies in New York, and that's all they do. And there are PR firms in New York. That's all they do is PR.
But I'm
for
saying,
Broadway shows.
in New York, it's a very, very personal, upfront, and
Yes.
close thing, as opposed to driving by a billboard on a highway.
Correct, because it's right there.
It's
in front of
right
you.
there, and you want that marquee to draw people to the theater. And when you're at the theater, what do the photographs in the boxes in front of the theater look like?
Or you'll have people, you know, and many of the shows will, you know, sending people out in the Times Square. So you'll, you know, we did that a couple of times where we sent the eunuchs that are in our show and costume out in the Times Square. The challenge that we had coming onto Broadway is based on the other shows that were nominated. King and I, American in Paris, Fun Home. These shows have a large tourist appeal. Fun Home and The Visit are not your big, you know, over-the-top dancing sing-along productions. Both are, I would describe Fun Home as dark as ours, but it's dealing with subject matter that, you know, you know, the family coming in from Middle America is not going to necessarily want to go see a show about, you know, a small lesbian girl who's her evolution and transition into a woman.
I would. I'm Middle America.
Or,
Right.
Patty,
you and I are as Middle America as it comes.
Or for that matter, you know, the show about, you know, the world's richest woman who comes back to her hometown with a proposition for the town to find her old lover and kill him.
Right, so your audience would be a New York audience.
The bulk of the folks who, they're theater goers, whether they're in New York or those of us who will fly in from all points, wherever, to see it. One, because there's the cheetah effect, and then that creative team. So, yeah, I would have been, had I not been a part of this project, I would have ended up in New York seeing the show.
And it's funny because when I grew up in New York, and we used to hang out around Broadway. We used to cut school, take the subway downtown, and we used to hang out at stage doors. We had two actresses that we
Stalked?
That would be the word, stalked. One of them was Marion Mercer, who went on, did several TV shows. The other one was Bernadette Peters, who's about 3 years older than me. I was 15, she was 18, just starting on. We were madly in love with her, and she was sweet as can be. You know, we were too shy to really talk to her much. You know, we just said, Bernadette, we just saw you. Oh, thank you for coming. You know, it was that kind of thing. But after that, Broadway became much more of a tourist attraction. It wasn't so much until the 70s, really. It was very much a New York thing. Some of the shows, though, that started getting produced, like Cats, which ran, 10 years, or was that a 20-year one?
I thought it was like a 30.
20, yeah, something like 20. You will not find a New Yorker who will admit to having seen Cats.
Or going and seeing it again,
It was very much a tourist show.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about when you're talking about.
Well, and the shows have helped that as well. Shows like the Tonys, to where you're now broadcasting into people's homes, you know. But if you're in Times Square,
that happened because the way they used to do that, there was the Tonys, but there was the Ed Sullivan Show, and every show would want to get on the Ed Sullivan show.
And now it's usually the Tonys, unless like Cheetah was on The View and Fallon. You just don't see, and Letterman would still do it. You don't see where back in the day where whoever was being nominated or was nominated would hit the circuit. I mean, they do Ed Sullivan, they do Johnny Carson, they do all of these shows, and now it's, you know, the PR firms are challenged because one, you've got to, you know, having Cheetah on Fallon was a big deal for her because from her perspective, why would your demographic want to know anything about an 82-year-old Broadway gal? And we're like, because they need to. Not only do they need to know about you, they need to know about the show. So, but yeah, if we were standing in the middle of Times Square right now saying you got to come see The Visit, compared to, you know,
of course,
The King and I, you know, people can sit at Lincoln Center and go through The King and I and hum through the music because they've heard it.
And it's been around for freaking ever.
It's been around forever. So I don't think, from our perspective even, well, I'm speaking out of turn, so if this gets back to New York, guys, I apologize, but I don't think it was fair for Fun Home nor our show to be in the same musical category as those other shows because those are, quote-unquote, Broadway over-the-top musicals. Ours were very different musicals that I think deserve some sort of category unto themselves because the content is so unique.
And we're going to talk about the content in a minute. Terry, stay right there. Joy, come here to the mic. We need to take a break in just a minute. We have another guest in the studio today, Joy Eleanor Parks. Joy is our new fundraising volunteer. Joy, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that you're doing this. We were sitting over at Sue Ellen's one day at some event, and Joy said to me, do you need any volunteers? And I said, well, we have our video person, we have our board operator, we have the three of us, but I need a fundraising person. Okay, so we batted around a couple of ideas, and before I could even talk to Dave, our station manager, Joy had a show put together for us. Same day. You know, it was like not just, okay, well, how is this? Had the show, had the venue, had the date, everything was we love you.
Thank you, and I love you all.
No, and let me say also, we love you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
See, Joy's a budding Terry Loftis.
Right. Well,
Put the show together. It's done.
raise the money. And, okay, so tell us
Be
what
on Broadway in a year.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
Okay, tell us what the show is going to be.
On Wednesday, June 24th at 7 to 10 p.m. at the Cedar Springs Tap House, we have a wonderful show. We have drag kings, drag queens, and a bit of queerlesque, and it's just going to be amazing. If you've ever been to a Tuesday night tease at Sue Ellen's, or if you've ever seen a show at the Rose Room in S4, it's going to be like that. Make sure to bring plenty of cash.
If you haven't,
and if you haven't,
come see us.
Yes, come see us and find out what it's about. But make sure you bring plenty of cash, because the performers will love tips, and all the tips that we'll be raising will go directly to KNON to keep it going, to keep this going.
And in order to transport this cash, which will be lots of ones, maybe some 5s, 20s.
Hopefully some 20s and 100s and 50s.
Patty will be there, Lerone will be there, I'll be there, Josh will be there, probably Doc, you'll be there. Where's Doc?
I'm working on it.
Okay, he's
And
working
we'll
on
also
it.
have a person to help out with that as well.
Okay, wonderful. So lots of pockets for us to stash the money and run it over to the station here to help keep gay and lesbian radio on the air. Thank you so much for doing this. Is there anything else that you need from us?
I'm set, honestly.
See?
I mean, we have some amazing...
Is this somebody that we love?
Very much so.
What else can we do? No, we're just come.
I mean, we have some amazing performers. We have Buck Wild, famous drag king nationally. We have Draconis Von Trapp, also another famous belly dancer nationally. And we have some newcomers like Gene Luke and Rowdy Rory and Molly Midori. And we just got some great performers that you should see.
And just come.
Just come.
Do you love that, Patty?
There's no cover, but make sure you bring
Okay,
cash.
you've been doing fundraisers for what, 70 years now?
At least.
Have you ever had one that sounds like, God, this is easy?
Right, we just show up. You know, this
So
is
that's
this
what
is
we're going to do.
fantastic.
And we really need our listeners, other people, tell other people about it, and just show up. We need to take a break. We're talking to Terry Loftis, who is a producer of the Broadway show, The Visit. We're going to talk about what it's about, where it's going from here, why he didn't win the Tony Award. I wanted to see your speech, but we're not
In a
complete.
speech, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. Whatever.
Even had I won.
Yeah, okay. We'll be back with more Lambda Weekly right after this.
This is William. I download Lambda Weekly Podcast from lambdaweekly.com.
And this is Lambda Weekly. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with Lerone Landis and the late Patti Fink. And
Our Tony nominated.
our Tony nominated guest is Terry Loftis. And our soon to be Tony nominated guest, other one, is Joy Elmer.
Joy.
Terry, we're going to play a little bit of music from The Visit. Set this up for us. This is music that has not been released on CD yet. It's about to.
Correct. So this is from our
heard it
cast
first
recording, and it's one of the numbers in the show called Yellow Shoes. And to set it up very quickly, all of the townspeople who are basically broke until Claire comes in to rescue them with, the potential of all this money, have not shopped for anything nice. And the storekeeper, which is Anton, bought this huge shipment of yellow shoes that were not going to go anywhere because nobody wanted them. So the townspeople are now going, and at the aspect of him dying and them getting this money, are shopping more. So everybody goes in to buy yellow shoes.
And I do have to note, Terry is wearing yellow shoes today.
Absolutely.
Fabulous yellow shoes. I wish you could see them.
It's doing a commercial first, so we'll let it scroll through the commercial, which it's not doing very well. And give us just a little bit, while it's doing that, give us a little bit, what is the musical about?
The musical, in short, is Cheetah plays Claire Zakadasian, who is the world's wealthiest woman, and she returns to their hometown of Brocken, which is fallen on hard times. All of the industries have dried up. Education, hospital is closed. They need everything new. And Claire shows up, beautiful gowns, beautiful jewels, with her butler and her two eunuchs, and basically offers to bankroll the town if they will deliver to her dead, her former lover who jilted her all those years ago. So
it's a happy story.
It's a very happy story, yes, yes.
We're dead air.
There we are. We're back on air.
Okay, it's not playing for whatever reason.
Let's say Doc.
Let's try doing it just this way. And that was Yellow Shoes.
That was awesome.
Let me
That
guess.
was great.
Yeah.
I'll never think of Yellow Shoes in the same way again. Every time I hear the term Yellow Shoes, I'm going to be humming that.
Yeah, try finding some to wear to the Tonys. That took a minute.
Didn't
You guys
your
should create your own and sell them.
Right.
And had the show been a big hit, that would be an obvious one to be selling in the lobby,
Oh yeah.
along with T-shirts. Yeah. Your costume producer couldn't get you Yellow Shoes?
No.
Oh.
So we were told for the Tonys to show up in Yellow Shoes. So we all did, except for Cheetah. Her red gown, I don't think would have played well with
yellow shoes, yellow high heels,
pumps. Yes.
Okay, so the show didn't win. What won for best show and score, I think, and a couple of other things was Alison Bechtel, her show, which is called Fun Home.
Fun Home.
Fun Home. For anybody who doesn't know Alison Bechtel, she's a cartoonist. She wrote the strip Dykes to, what was it called? It used to appear in Dallas Voice. It was.
Yes.
We had it in Dallas Voice for years. Anyway, so her show won, and you're talking about different types of shows. This show is dark. It's original. And by original, I mean it doesn't come from a movie where one of the nominated shows was American in Paris, which, the score is well known. It's by Gershwin. Gershwin didn't write any additional music for Broadway because, well, frankly, he's dead. Same thing with King and I, which was a revival, and that won everything. Did you see King and I?
I did.
Everybody seems to love this production of it, though.
It's your feel good. Go to New York, see a big Broadway show.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, and I don't even want to say it's not unique because each cast and director brings something unique to their production. But it's still a big over-the-top Broadway show. It's not as unique as Fun Home or The Visit.
Right.
Dyke in Chief, Aaron texted me, Dykes to watch out for.
Dykes to watch out for. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
If we have a Dyke question, and
Pun it to Patti.
Well, I know, and we've been doing so much Dyke stuff with all these floods that that have saved the city. I mean, we need to have more respect for what they've done for us here in Dallas. So,
we'll blow right past the I versus Y. But,
Yeah. So,
spelling.
So yeah,
So
for the
overrated.
sake of not, they tell you hear people all the, being a little kid growing up in Oak Cliff, watching the Academy Awards, watching the Tonys, everyone, especially if you're in music or musical theater, there's always at some point that little thing in the back of your head going, oh my God, I could be there one day, and then you're almost 50 and you're sitting at Radio City Music Hall, and I have to say that it is true what they say. Having gone through that experience, it is an absolute honor being nominated, win or lose, because the experience in and of itself is something that
It's exciting.
It is. It's exhilarating because you're meeting people that you typically are only going to see on stage or on television.
How did you find out about the nomination?
I was on my way to work. It was the 28th of April, which was a week or so after we opened on Broadway. And I was going across the Sylvan Street Bridge, and Rich Affinato called me, and I had him on speaker in the car. And I was already annoyed because I had stayed at home as long as I could to try and watch the nominations on television, and had to get to work. And so I'm already ticked off. He calls me, and my mom was calling me at the same time, so I picked up his call and went, what? And he's like, well, good morning to you too, Mr. Tony-nominated producer, and of course I almost ended up in the Trinity. So that's how I found out.
Oh, wow.
And it was just, literally you just get caught up in this vortex. Because there's also a lot of work. You're putting on a Broadway show. Two, you're nominated for a Tony. And I have to say that, we have another co-producer here in Dallas. His name is Taylor Clayhorn. And Taylor was also late to the game. He's one of the folks that I reached out to as a potential investor, and which he was interested in, but he was also very interested in being, a producer instead of just giving us money. So he upped his investment amount substantially, and is one of our producers as well. And so we're excited because we had 2 Dallas boys, on Broadway, in our yellow shoes. So it was. And they're there. Well, we literally in the next hour or so we do our last show.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because the show didn't win, it didn't generate enough buzz to keep the show going.
Yes and no. So what we had to make a decision on based on the cost,
sure,
and and to maintaining our commitment to our investors is. How long do we stay on Broadway if we don't win a Tony? And so we made the decision literally immediately that it was not in the best interest of the show or our investors to fight that battle, because it cost a lot of money to put on a show on Broadway.
To keep the audiences coming, you have to keep advertising it, and advertising is not cheap.
Whomever wins
right.
those Tonys, those are the shows those are people sitting in the Midwest right now, booking their family vacations and going online and saying, I'm going to go see
right.
An American in Paris because it won a Tony for this.
Right.
Or now, Fun Home may not be on that list, even though they're going to do better. There's going to be an awful lot of people from Mid-America that go to New York and see Fun Home and sit there and go, well, Ma, I didn't realize it was this kind of subject.
Oh, there are going to be an awful lot of people who are going to walk out of Fun Home.
We're going to have to get up and leave right now.
Right.
This is about those people.
Right. Yeah.
Okay,
so the show goes over to London now.
This is not the end of the road. Show closes this afternoon, and that's sad.
Afternoon, and they will not tell the producers what theater, but we're taking. Cheetah wants to go to London, so we're going to do the show in London. And we will license the show out here in the States and take it on the road here. So the show's not by no means over. And if you look at the former shows, Cabaret and Chicago, neither of those shows were just, oh my God, as soon as they opened on Broadway, it was like, boom. Right. It took a while. So we know that based on the success of those shows and our creative team, that this show's going to go on for quite some time.
And the history, especially of Kander and Ebb shows, there's some others that are like this. The original Cabaret ran about 2.5 years on Broadway. Mm-hmm. At that time, that was considered a hit. It certainly made its money back and made a profit. It wasn't until the 1990s that it came back and ran 10 years. Chicago was actually a flop on Broadway. It ran about 2 years, never made its money back, or maybe marginally made its money back. Came back in 1996, and it's still running.
Yep. And then the movie,
And then the movie.
And then the movie was a huge hit.
Yeah.
So this show, which only ran a short time, could very well go to London, be a hit in London. You think it has a better chance in Europe?
I do.
Because?
I think because of the content is based on a European book, based in a European town.
Europeans are more likely to like the idea of killing people in a musical?
Well, probably. Well, I don't know about that.
Well, I think they're more willing to go.
You think that would,
They're more
we're going to be gun-toting on college campuses now, so you think we'd be more into it, but sorry, I had to get that little dig in.
Okay, let me get my dig in. And the day that Governor Abbott signed his open carry bill, there's a siege with open carry around Dallas Police Headquarters. The two have nothing to do with each other.
No.
But okay, whatever.
So, we do feel the show will do well in Europe. We think it'll do well on the road here. The more that it's out there and people have a chance to really get to know it, I think they're going to fall in love with it.
There's this odd rule, though, on Broadway, and it has to do with not opening. A number of shows were opening on Broadway just so they could say they were a Broadway show, and then taking it right out onto the road. There's a rule that you can't take your set with you for 6 months. So the show has to be closed for 6 months before you can use that set. You can go immediately on the road and build a new set. That rule is still in existence?
I think so, yeah.
It's possible you can take your set over to London with you. It probably isn't worthwhile.
By the time we get, we'd have to rebuild it. It would
It
be
needs
more
to be
cost
rebuilt
effective
to just rebuild
over
a set over there.
And is it going to be the same cast on the London show?
Don't know. All we know right now is that Cheetah's. This is something that the executive producers want, something that she wants. Whether or not we keep the same cast, we don't know. Because Roger had to pull out of the show a few weeks ago due to illness. And then Tom, his understudy, stepped in and did a remarkable job. I didn't think the chemistry between Cheetah and Roger could get any better between the two of them, and then Roger had to step out due to the illness, and Tom stepped in, and the chemistry between she and Tom was completely different.
And still a
In a good way?
good show.
Oh my God, yeah, it was
in a great way, yeah. Taking on, you know what? Let's take our little break. We do need to take a break. We're going to talk about the history of the show. It's not like, oh, that's a nice script. Yeah, let's hire a couple of people and let's put it on Broadway. It didn't happen that way.
No.
This show's been in works for 10 years. Fred Ebb, who wrote the lyrics, has been gone since, I think, 2006. So this show has had a long, long road to Broadway. Terry was just like one of the last pieces of it, but you know the history. You're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 KNON in... Listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 KNON-fm. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with Lerone Landis and the late Patti Fink, and our guest today is Terry Loftis, who is one of the producers of The Visit, Tony-nominated producers. Before we go back, we're going to talk to Joy. Joy, you are our producer of our fundraiser that's coming up in a couple of weeks. Date and time? Date and time and place?
Date and time, okay. June 24th on Wednesday, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And at the Cedar Springs Tap House.
And it's going to be what?
It's going to be free to get in. Oh, also, I hear it's steak night at the Cedar Springs Tap House. So you'll have dinner and a show with belly dancers, drag kings, and drag queens, and some queer-lesque thrown in there.
And the way KNON is making its money is when you tip the dancers or the singers, the performers, all that money's coming to KNON. You know, we used to do those years ago. We had a number of singers over at Buddy's. We'd make quite a bit of money when we did that.
Yes.
So
and it was at a lesbian bar. Imagine. Wide open to men and women.
Or as we call them on Broadway, a dyke bar.
Yes.
Joy, thank you so much for doing this. It's June 24th. It's a Wednesday night, 7 to 10 p.m. Cedar Springs Tap House is in a loom.
Yeah, it's
very convenient. Parking is like all around a loom. Is there parking in the building? It's easier if you park around the building.
Yeah, if you parked right behind Sue Ellen's, JR's, as for like that kind of strip of the Cedar Springs neighborhood strip right there, there's a lot of parking there for free parking.
And all the money goes to KNON. If you need a receipt, we'll be there with. We'll make sure you get a receipt, even if you're getting cash.
Are you accepting checks?
Oh, certainly, checks are good.
And you make the checks out to
KNON because that's the nonprofit organization, so that it is tax deductible. Thank you, Joy, for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joy.
And Joy will be back talking about this more. Terry, you produced The Visit. You came in about 3 months before the show opened on Broadway, but it had a long, long, long haul. How did this show take so long to get to Broadway? Because they must have started writing it 2004, 2005?
I think one of the primary reasons the show took so long is they were reworking content as the show evolved. Angela Lansbury was the initial lead in this and pulled out when her husband became ill and then passed away. She decided not to come back to the show.
You know, a lot of people don't realize Angela Lansbury's history. They just know her from Murder, She Wrote. But she was the original Mame. She was the Mad Woman of Chaillot. Yeah. She has a wonderful Broadway history.
Yeah. It's more broad. I consider her Broadway talent more than I do a television film.
I think of her as Broadway and then Manchurian Candidate.
Oh,
the
brilliant
original
film. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God, yeah.
And she was amazing in that. Oh.
Yeah, scary Angela
Yes.
in that one. Yeah.
But she left. Cheetah came in.
Cheetah came in and fell in love with the story, the content, and just literally, she, Terrence, John Cantor, and Fred Ebb they decided that no matter how long it took, they were going to put the show on, and it was going to Broadway, and it took a while.
Now, one of the understudy actually for Cheetah
Donna McKechnie.
is Donna McKechnie. Do you know who she is? Do you know who she is? No. You don't. Very well-known Broadway singer, dancer, one of the original stars of Chorus Line.
Yes.
Oh. That's where she made her big hit in New York.
Yeah, and it was funny because we never really called her Cheetah's understudy because that just sounds weird.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, okay, Cheetah, for whatever reason, is unable to go on stage. This other fabulous Broadway diva will be in the back, and she will come on instead.
Now, once it
you
goes,
really can't call something like that an understudy.
No,
Right.
Once it goes on tour, will she be the lead in the tour? Possibly.
We don't know. That's
Don't know.
possible. Anything's a possibility. That would be awesome because of her, her talent and her. She's her own zip code, much like Cheetah is. But
won't be as well known around the country as she is in New York.
Correct.
You mentioned one other name as a possibility that's interested in this role.
One of the other people that we would love to see do it would be maybe Shirley MacLaine, someone like that.
And who I'd like to see doing it, our favorite here is Ruta Lee. Ruta is fabulous. I just love her.
Well,
she was a guest of ours recently.
And it begs the question, because if you see the show and you realize the darkness of the storyline and the fact that there is a love story mixed in there in the end, is whoever sits in that role has to have that kind of
Darkness.
Lansbury,
Yeah.
McLean,
Rivera.
That grit that can pull off going from, I can sing and dance to, I can get in your face and really bring it. And so we sit around going, okay, who might that be? And so once we get it out on the road here in the States, we have no clue as yet, but we're working on it.
So what happens next with you? Are you looking forward to, or might you produce another show?
Yes. So we call them the Toms. Tom Kiraday, who is Terrence McNally's partner, and Tom Smeet, who are the executive producers of The Visit, have a new show. I'm going to mention it. I don't know if I'm supposed to or not, but it's called Bandstand that they're going to be producing, so we'll be starting work on that. And then there are a couple of revivals of Terrence's former shows that they're still considering bringing back. And once we have confirmation on that, then we will. So,
Any Candor and Ebb that you'll be doing, reviving?
One of those is a Candor and Ebb.
Oh, okay.
Wonderful.
And as soon as we know what it is, I'll come back, and it won't be 15 years, and I'll tell you about it then.
Awesome.
But when the show starts to tour the U.S., it will come to Dallas, right?
We hope so. There's no reason it wouldn't, no.
Yeah.
Awesome. That would be awesome.
Do you know, it's not the producers who are the only ones who decide what comes to Dallas. It's Dallas Summer Musicals that decides if it's suitable for Dallas. But now we're lucky because we have 3 venues.
You have the Broadway
with Bass
series,
Hall,
you have summer musicals.
and Bass Hall has a series. So there's more choices and more possibilities of things coming here that there weren't before. If Dallas Summer Musicals just thought, that's not for a Dallas audience, it never came here. And there were a number of shows like that over the years that didn't come here.
I think it'd be brilliantly in Dallas.
Yeah.
I think our arts constituents would love the show.
Now, one other show that you were involved in some, and let's talk about this a little bit, is a show called Anne.
Yep.
Tell us about Anne.
Anne was fun. That was strictly we need help out of Texas because of the content of the show.
It's about Ann Richards.
It's about it's Holland Taylor's one-woman show of the life of Ann Richards, and Holland wrote basically wrote the show herself.
And it's brilliant.
It is brilliant.
You lose yourself and you think she's Ann Richards.
You sit there and you watch the show, and then at one point you just sit there and go, okay, Ann did pass away, didn't she? Because otherwise she's standing in front of me on stage. And The challenge with that show is you're taking it, because we played on Broadway at the Vivian Beaumont at Lincoln Center. The challenge with it is it's a one-woman show. It's based on a subject matter that, unless you are a diehard liberal Texan, Anne's appeal across the country obviously isn't as strong as it was here. So I think the fact that the show didn't run or have a very long run on Broadway was because of the educational factor. It's like, I've kind of heard of Ann Richards, but why is there a show about her? And so.
Well, it was also at the Vivian Beaumont, which normally does limited runs, although not really
anymore.
anymore.
We were part of their season, so which was great from a marketing perspective, because we were able to market directly to their subscribers. And we were off the beaten path. It was at the Vivian Beaumont. We weren't.
Okay, so why hasn't this show come? Where did you see it?
I've just seen pieces of it.
Okay.
I haven't seen it on Broadway by any means.
She did it in Galveston down at the
Strand Theater. It's a big theater right on the Strand.
Yes.
I think it's called the Strand Theater.
But you can, in Texas, you can say, "I miss Ann," and everyone knows who you're talking about.
Correct.
Oh yeah.
I miss Molly. Everybody knows you're talking about Molly Ivins.
Yeah. Either side of the aisle. Yeah. So so Holland is retweaking some of the content for the show now, before she releases it for license to go on the road.
But she doesn't want to tour with it.
She has not said definitively that she is going to tour, and she is the rumor that we've heard is that Annie Potts is one of the potential that the only actress other than Holland that might be interested in doing it, and if you think about it, could probably pull it off.
I think she could.
Oh yeah, I love Annie Potts.
I never even considered her, but now I do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she could do it.
So yeah, it won't be my last production.
So you'll actually be a producer of it if it goes on the road?
Not of Ann, no. That's an entirely different team. So
and no yellow shoes over there.
No yellow shoes. So my next show
Yellow
will be,
dogs, not
hopefully another Terrence McNally show. And then he will be here in the fall. The Dallas Opera is debuting his opera, Great Scott, at the Winspear. So he'll be in town for that. So hopefully between that and getting Bandstand off the ground, that'll be the next venture, and see if we can strike Tony Gold again and actually pull it off this time.
And have a big hit. So I want to go back to, though, with The Visit.
Yes.
Which is in the middle right now of its final performance on Broadway, because it went on at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. Kander and Ebb did the music. Fred Ebb died. And we started talking about this a little bit before the show. He died about 2006, but they're still working on the music. How did that work? Because Kander really is the music. He's not lyrics at all.
Yeah, Fred's, yeah.
Yeah. So how did that work?
From what I understand, the core of most of the music was already put down. John does have a new working partner musically that has been helping. But if you listen to the lyrics in a lot of the music, you will hear Fred Ebb. So I'm not sure at what point prior to Fred's death they were, as far as the percentage of music that was finished. But as a follower of his music, and as most people would be if you were to listen to Chicago or any of the other works, you can tell Fred's influence in the lyrics of The Visit, especially in some of the songs that Cheetah's singing. That I wish we had the full soundtrack here, because one of the first songs she sings, she tells the townspeople about how she became so rich by marrying and widowing so well, and she has a lyrical description of each one of them that is absolutely hilarious. She talks about one. The next guy I married was a very small Chinese. Look at all our wedding pictures. He barely came up to my knees. It's just funny, and so you've got lyrics like that, and then with Cheetah's delivery, it's just you just laugh through the whole thing. So
it's dark, but it'll make you laugh.
oh yeah, it's I describe it as a dark comedy.
Yeah. Okay, so the Tony Awards. The Tony Awards are at Radio City Music Hall. It's this huge, huge theater. It seats about 5,000 people. It's bigger than Music Hall at Fair Park, even, which is a huge theater. Much bigger than that, much deeper.
Better acoustics.
And better acoustics, yes. More levels up. But you did meet some people. Like you met Tommy Tune.
Met Tommy Tune.
I know, of course, Tommy Tune's from Texas.
He's a Texas boy.
Won a Tony Award lots and lots of times.
Felicia Richard, of course, and
nice.
Alan Cumming and I've run into each other before. I didn't get to see him before the show, but so yeah, you're again.
Okay, so what did Tommy Tune tell you?
That it's it is an honor being nominated, and because I was a nominated producer, should I die in the next 12 months, I will be featured in the memoriam section for the Tonys next year. So,
oh, isn't that great to know?
Is it though?
Like where?
I smiled and went, that's a very interesting perspective. So if I get hit by a bus, my picture will be up next year.
Silver lining.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
And you'll be mentioned on Lambda Weekly as a former guest.
Yes.
Because we do that for our former guests.
That's right.
When they die.
That's right.
But that will be attached to your name forever now.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
Do you know
Academy Award
one name that they did show on their scroll this year, and it was really controversial when they didn't mention her at the Oscars, was Joan Rivers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
we were not going to. Tonys were not going to make that mistake. Yeah.
Well, not just not make that mistake. She's written a couple of Broadway plays. She starred on Broadway. Was she ever nominated though? I don't know.
I don't know if she's nominated for.
I don't know, but they weren't going to make that mistake and ignore her. They certainly did mention her.
No.
So
it was a great night, great fun. An experience of a lifetime. So, it makes it that much more special because I was nominated. Because obviously, with the right amount of money, you can get a ticket to the Tonys, or someone will get you a comp. But there is that uniqueness of walking around in your yellow shoes and you're sitting in your section with the rest of the team and your little lapel pin that 2015 Tony nominee.
You were downstairs seated.
We're in orchestra. Yeah,
Ah,
great real estate, and then all the after parties, which I won't go into. We'll just say that I went to bed at 5:45 in the morning on a Monday. And again, we can blame Billy Stritch and Jim Caruso and Tommy Tune for that. So
Good. For a gay show, we rarely do a Broadway show, right?
Yeah.
And I'm glad we did. Terry, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Joy, one more plug. Don't you love when we can shamelessly plug? We can't shamelessly plug most things, but when it's for KNON, we can shamelessly plug. So shamelessly tell us about our fundraiser one more time.
Wednesday, June 24th, 7 to 10 p.m. at the Cedar Springs Tap House on the Cedar Springs
in the Illume.
It's in the Illume.
The old Illume.
Yeah, the Illume is an apartment complex. We're on the first floor. It has a bunch of businesses, such as the Cedar Springs Tap House, which also has amazing food.
They do have good food. Come for the evening. Come plan to eat. We're going to be there to eat.
Watch the show.
We'll watch the show. Bring plenty of money to give them tips because that's how KNON is making its money.
Although no coins. That would hurt if you threw a coin at
No, don't throw it. You can just hand it to him.
You can hand it to him too. So yeah.
We know how to do that. We're good at that. Next week our guest is Valletta Lil, former Dallas City Council person. She's up in arms about the city of Dallas renting out our logo for sewers that are supposedly for sewer warranties or something.
Yeah, it's a big controversy right now at Dallas City Hall.
It seems like it's a big scam.
Well, it's just a way of...
Our sewers are not exploding.
Of trying to make money where they can, and I think they've kind of crossed a line now.
Our sewers are not exploding.
Right, so...
You don't need a warranty. The city will come out and fix it if you have a problem with your sewer.
But, on back on the arts, Valletta Lil is a huge champion of the arts and was the first executive director of the Dallas Arts District. which is the largest arts district in the country. So, you know, we have Terry this week. We'll have Valletta next week, and we'll continue this art.
I love this, but that Valletta Lil gets to follow me.
Yes, she does.
I'm going to text her right now and say that.
We'll be back with more Lambda Weekly next week.
KNON 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to KNON.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.